I wanted to wait a little bit on doing this segment because I wanted to have all the information before I reported it to you guys. The whole point of this podcast is giving you all the info on the product so you could make the right educated decision, and I didn't want to rush out the segment. So now let's talk about it. Here we go today. Transformers X GI Joe Bumblebee with GI Joe member Stalker. Now, back in February of 2022, we were shown our GI Joe Transformer Megatron Hiss Tank that came with a O-ring classic style Baroness, and there was a lot of hype. People were excited about it. And the big thing about it was on the back of the packaging, when you split the packaging, there's a brown box inlet. On the back of that was a teaser of the next character, someone who stung like a bee, if you will. So we already knew that Bumblebee was going to be the next one. The big question was, what is he going to turn into and who is he going to come with? Those answers have been announced today. There was a Hasbro Pulse GI Joe Livestream and a big surprise at the end of the stream from Lenny Penzica, a former Transformers designer, and Emily, one of the marketing execs for the GI Joe brand. Together, they showed off the brand new 100% Transformers X GI Joe Bumblebee. Now, what does Bumblebee turn into? So Bumblebee turns into the Awe Striker. Pretty common in the GI Joe cartoon design. So kind of a good choice in my opinion. It's one of the more smaller kind of all-terrain vehicles, and it works for Bumblebee. You know, we're not expecting something that's going to have the all-yellow Tiger Force kind of aspect to it to match Bumblebee in the same way that a Hiss tank is all black and, well, Megatron isn't, but yet it still worked out in the end. So that's just fine. That's just fine. I like what I see. The sculpting looks nice. Again, the images that we have at our disposal right now, unfortunately, are just CG mock-up images. The in-hand model that they had for the presentation was a EP1 test shot that was still pretty fragile and not 100% complete. Still had the do not sell stamps on it and all the factory stamps on it, so they were not able to transform it and show how it finally looks. Not to mention they said there was even mistakes on that EP1 that the CG mockup better represented. But it gives us a general idea of what this guy's going to look like. In robot mode, he's going to be 9 inches tall, so he's going to be a lot larger than your standard deluxe Transformers and stuff like that. But again, this is something that's trying to be GI Joe scale. This is something that's supposed to work with GI Joe 3 1/4 figures, and that is that. Now, again, I like what I see though. I think it works. It works for Bumblebee. I mean, if we could already accept, Bumblebee being like a Jeep in the live action universe and he could pull that off, I could see Bumblebee, if he's in the GI Joe continuity, rocking this kind of thing. He's been a lot of other kind of alt modes throughout the years in GI Joe versus Transformers history. I could see this working. The only complaint I kind of have is, and again, no shade thrown at Stalker. Stalker's pretty cool. I think I know why they kind of picked him instead. I would have personally, because they chose Baroness for Megatron, which, by the way, I wouldn't have chose. Like, I love Baroness to death, but I wouldn't have chose Baroness for Megatron. I would have done like a little Cobra Commander thing with a little gun. But since they already chose Baroness, I would have thought that Bumblebee would have been great to come with Scarlet. Kind of have that duality, that kind of rivalry thing. Not to mention that Scarlet has been linked with Bumblebee in a lot of those crossovers too, so it would have been a nice little throwback to what has been done fictionally throughout the years. The Stalker thing, sure. I think that the reason why they did this one is they've already done the Retro Stalker, which is it puts it on the retro card back, but it was a brand new sculpt, or a repack of another 3 1/4 that was a lot more modernized. They already have the Classifieds one that came out just May that just passed. So I'm pretty sure they're just like, well, here's an excuse to put the O-ring one. Kind of like with Baroness too, because Baroness had her update in Classified. She had her retro packaging one of a 3 1/4, but was done with the new sculpt, not with the classic sculpt. So they used this Megatron to have the classic sculpt of the O-ring. I think that it's kind of the same thing going on here. That's the vibe I'm getting, because it's definitely not a trademark reason. It's not that. It's just I guess they made that connection. Not to mention Stalker has been seen in the cartoon riding the Awe Striker, which I guess, the way I see. But even then, I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, because I wouldn't associate a Hiss tank with Baroness, but yet they put Baroness with a Hiss tank. But Stalker has been associated with the Striker in the cartoon, so you can't even use that logic. I don't know. There must be a deeper reasoning outside of just, hey, let's just check off everything with this IP and character, in that we got the retro, we got the classified 6-inch. Now let's do the retro, but now the O-ring version. I guess. I don't know. I would have gone with Scarlet. That's just my call, but pick your poison. Everyone's answer is right and or wrong, and mine is probably wrong. But regardless of the fact, again, he's going to be a 3 1/4. He could ride on the back in robot mode and also man the cannon. That cannon could be detached and used as one of Bumblebee's weapons. It still looks pretty cool. 21-step transformation, not very complicated. Looks really awesome. I dig it. And Stalker's also going to come with a little gun too for him also, so he could have battle on the ground. Now, when it comes to shipping out and prices like that, so originally Megatron was $89.99 or $90 just to keep it simple. Because Bumblebee is a little smaller, this one is going to be $69.99 and is going to ship out the first quarter of 2023. Different websites have different release dates, so I'm going to take a guess, probably, January, February, around that time of next year is when we're going to be getting these. Pretty hype otherwise. The designers, according to what they said here, is because Evan did the Megatron one from the Hasbro designers. Brian did this one here. This is Brian Parrish, who has worked on both Transformers and GI Joe as designer. So Brian was behind this one here. And who knows what the next one is going to be. They teased at that they already have something planned. So while we could give feedback of what we want to see, they have an 18-month lead time on these, so they already have way in advance planned. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen it yet, but we already saw the box for the Bumblebee. We just haven't seen the brown box inlet on the back. I'm pretty sure that's probably going to continue the tradition and have a teaser of what the next one will be. Who that next one will be, we don't know. If I would have to take a guess, it's got to be someone in that, Legendary 7, obviously not Devastator, but okay, Legendary 6. So Optimus, we already have Megatron, Grimlock, Bumblebee we already have, Soundwave, Starscream. So it's got to be one of those guys. Someone's going to pop in there. I would like to see Starscream, even though that would be a much larger one, but a Sky Stalker, Starscream, or a Night Raven, or whatever they would want to do would work well for Starscream. I think I would dig it a lot. It would look really cool. Who they would put it with, now if you don't do Starscream with Cobra Commander, since they already didn't do Cobra Commander with Megatron, if you don't do Starscream or Cobra Commander and have a double Chris Latta set, I think you just completely miss the point. And I don't care if, Cobra Commander doesn't ride in jets and stuff like that, regardless of the fact. But either way, I dig it. I think these are great. This is the GI Joe crossover stuff we've wanted literally for 35 years. So this is something that's hype. Let me know what you think about it. Who do you think is going to be next? Again, I'm riding out on that Starscream set. Obviously Megatron's going to need an Optimus to face at some point, but I don't know. I think Starscream just makes more sense and just works. Let me know what you think, guys. We'll talk really soon. And again, check out the latest episode of the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer, where we talk about the history of Transformers alternators. That's on the other channel. Just check in the channel tab of the YouTube channel. Take care.